There are currently a plethora of absolutely elite hand cannons in Destiny 2. So many, in fact, that, me making the list before even starting on this video took me a little bit longer than it probably should have. But how else would you get an accurate top 10 list without putting some thought into it? Now, I do want to lay out some of the criteria for this before we actually get into it. So the very first thing is that I do not care about obtainability for this video. It doesn't matter if a hand cannon's been out of the game for 2 years. It doesn't matter if it's damn near impossible to get a god roll. The only thing that matters is the weapon's performance. And for 2, this video is being made with the Rangefinder change next season in mind, so I'm trying to predict how that is going to play out, and which hand cannons are going to be benefiting, and which hand cannons are maybe going to be getting a little bit worse. And if there is something in this video that you guys don't necessarily agree with, you guys can always let me know in the comments below, because at the end of the day, that's what they're for. It's nice to see other people's opinions, and it does spark a bit of discussion. Without further ado though, let's just kick this list off with some quick honorable mentions, because as I said before, ranking the top 10 hand cannons was extremely difficult, and I had to leave some hand cannons out that, maybe were deserving, and I think they're at least worthy of a mention. Those being the Palindrome, DFA, Nation of Beasts, Aya's Luna, Round Robin, Sunshot, Sturm, Cansata, and Spare. Like I said, I told you guys there was a lot of them, and when it comes down to these hand cannons right here, they're all really, really good, and like I said, some of them could probably be in, any given person's top 10, but I do think they are lacking compared to what we have on the list. I mean, just taking something like Palindrome for an example, it is an absolute stat monster of a gun. The problem is, it's relied on Rangefinder being its best perk pretty much ever since it came out, and there's no real alternative to Rangefinder on the gun. In fact, the second best perk in that column on Palindrome, I believe, is High Impact Reserves. So, yeah, that's not making the list. Anyways though, kicking this list off at the number 10 spots, we have the Exalted Truth. Now in my opinion, I have never really liked the feel of this gun, but not putting it in the top 10 would just be criminal. It has some of the best stats in the game, and just look at this thing's perk pool. That is illegal for a 140. It may not have access to something like Explosive or Time Payload, but I promise you guys, the consistency perks more than make up for that. You have things like Killing Wind, Eye of the Storm, Killing Wind Rampage for the 2-head 1-body kills, Rangefinder in the left perk column, so if it is still good after the change, you won't have to sacrifice Eye of the Storm or Rampage for it. Overall, like I said, not putting this thing in the top 10 would just be absolutely criminal. Moving on to the number 9 spot, we have an absolute classic, the True Prophecy. I mean, what's not to like about this gun? You have arguably the best perk pool for any 120 in the game. You have a Rangefinder, which after the change / nerf, whatever you guys want to say, yeah, it may not be giving you range, but it's giving you extra stability and aim assist, which 120s greatly benefit from. And then you have Explosive or Time Payload. Pick your poison there. Like, this hand cannon is basically perfect for a 120 in the kinetic slot. Sure, actually getting the god roll is damn near impossible, but as I said before, that doesn't really matter for this list. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Energy True Prophecy. Okay, obviously I'm joking, it's the bottom dollar, but the gun is pretty much ideal in what you guys are looking for. It has Rangefinder Explosive on a 120, which I firmly believe is going to be one of, if not the best 120 perk combos in the game. But let's say Rangefinder, for whatever reason, ends up being terrible on 120s. Well, you have Slide Shot, and Slide Shot is a free 20 range, free 20 stability. It is absolutely S tier on 120 hand cannons, and not even just 120s, 140s as well. You also do have some pretty good niche choices on this thing, like Surplus, and if you do play a subclass where you have 4 abilities, 5 abilities, Surplus, I mean, that is an S tier perk for a 120. At the number 7 spot, we have a hand cannon I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about, but it is the Steady Hand, and if you were one of the people who forgot about it, I don't really blame you. I mean, this thing's been out of the loot pool forever, and Bungie just refuses to bring it back. But for the people who did hold on to Steady Hand rolls, whether that be something like Slide Shot Iron Grip, Zen Moment Iron Grip, Zen Moment Snapshot, Quick Draw Iron Grip, Whatever it may be, you are very lucky because I don't know when this thing's going to come back, and if it does, we don't know if it's going to have the same juiced perk pool. Regardless though, it does 100% deserve a spot on this list, and it arguably should be even higher. Moving on to the number 6 spot, we have arguably the most famous Destiny weapon of all time, at least top 3, you know, with Galley, Black Hammer, whatever it may be. FATEBRINGER is an absolute icon of the Destiny franchise, and it's about to be meta next season. I mean, looking at this thing's perk pool, you have Explosive Payload Opening, Explosive Payload Kill Clip, Explosive Eye of the Storm. There are so many good perk combos on this gun, and when you pair that with the fact that it's an Adept, it has stupidly good stats, kind of low AE. I don't know why Bungie did that, but the gun is disgusting. If you don't already have yourself a good time-lost FATEBRINGER, now would be the time to get it before next season. Cracking into the top 5 at the number 5 spots, we have the AUSTRINGER, and I know what you guys are thinking right now. Grav, how the hell is AUSTRINGER above a lot of these options? Well, I'll tell you why. For one, the perk pool. Look at this thing. I mean, I know no explosive, no time payload. I get that. But you have Zen Moment and Eye of the Storm, or Zen Moment and Snapshot. This thing is arguably the best dueling 140 in the game. And if I see anyone in the comments telling me that AUSTRINGER does not belong in the top 10, that's how I'm going to know that you haven't used Zen Moment after the buff, because I promise y'all, it is life-changing. Moving on to the number 4 spot, we have the only lightweight hand cannon left in the game, the Rose. Now, I know the stats at first, they don't look very good on this gun, and I'm going to be real with you. The stats aren't. They really aren't. Compared to something like a Palindrome, a FATEBRINGER, whatever it may be, the stats are trash. But I'm telling you guys right now, lightweight really does carry Rose that goddamn hard, and it also has things like explosive payload, perpetual motion to boost those stats, slide shot, which I know a lot of people like, and you have moving target for consistency, elemental depending on your subclass. The perk pool is absolutely stacked. The only bad thing I can really say about Rose is the fact that it's out of the loot pool, which I think is absolute bullshit because a lot of people weren't able to get God rolls, and then Bungie was like, yo, instead of making this a random drop after comp, we just gonna take it away from you, and you can have this sniper. Anyways though, we have finally made it to the top 3 where our first hand cannon is going to be the HAWKMOON. This thing next season is going to be absolute filth because you guys gotta think about it. The Catalyst is boosting your range every single headshot you land, and then you're also going to be able to take away Rangefinder, throw it in the garbage because HAWKMOON is not going to need extra stability, it's not going to need extra aim assist, and then replace that with something like Eye of the Storm, Killing Wind, Opening Shot. Whatever it is, HAWKMOON is going to be absolutely disgusting. Not to mention, it still is also the only hand cannon that can one-tap in the game, so long as, you know, nobody damage glitches you, which seems to happen. Then you might get one-tapped by a 7 Seraph revolver and break your controller in half, but hey, that's not my fault. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the highest ranking 140 hand cannon on this list. It's gotta be the Ace of Spades, because this thing, with 85 range next season, good God, I don't think we're ready for this buff. All I'm going to say is if some dude named Unorthodox Dentist is two-tapping you from across the map, don't get mad, because Bungie decided that they were going to make this change and they weren't going to touch Ace's range stat at all, because 85 seems absolutely balanced for a hand cannon that does 90 damage after a body shot kill. Yeah, I don't know if Bungie really thought this one through, but Ace should be disgusting next season. And finally, the hand cannon that will be taking these spots as the king of hand cannons, the best hand cannon in the game, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the Igneous hammer once again. I mean, I gotta say, it sucks that this gun is unobtainable, but when you have a 120 hand cannon with the stats of a 140, and it feels like a 140, and it has the best aim assist of any 120, it's just illegal. Like, I just sit here and think there has to be a reason that Bungie hasn't brought Igneous Hammer back yet. I feel like once they do, they might nerf the stats a little bit, but who knows, man? If they don't touch the stats, it's gonna continue being the number 1 hand cannon season after season after season, because nothing really tops it. With that being said though, that is pretty much going to wrap up the list of the top 10 best hand cannons in the game. If you guys did agree or disagree with it, let me know in the comments below, as any feedback is always appreciated. And if you did end up enjoying the video, it never hurts to hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified of my future content when it releases, because we do post pretty frequently on this channel. But as always, it's been Gravely. Peace.